Welcome back, and today we are going to be playing out the AFA 18A, and the A of course stands for Australian, as this is the one in the British tech tree. It's honestly one of the biggest pieces of ass ever conceived, as it doesn't actually have functional engines. It has the engines of the F-18A, and while the airframe is actually still a little bit heavier, it means that your acceleration is down, as well as your top speed, as well as your retention. This thing pisses away energy like nothing you've ever seen before. F-18s are already notorious for this, as they pull a lot of AOA and they basically function as massive air brakes. But with this, it's really on the next level. Now, is it the worst top tier in the game? It might not be. We still have the Swedish F-18 without a HMD. It's about the same in terms of performance, but the HMD on this version actually makes it a little bit more flyable. It's a bit of a toss-up, but they are both pretty ass. Does this mean that the plane is completely unflyable? No, of course not. We still have 10 MRAMs and 2 A9Ms, which is a pretty respectable loadout. The issue is, because you have an airframe with so little power, your missiles have less range, meaning that you have to get closer, and getting close to people is actually kind of the last thing you want to do in this thing. Now, you can go for that one turn, you lose a lot of energy, you pull a lot of AOA, so the first or maybe second shot is basically always going to be yours, but they are going to be going so much faster than you that if you miss these, which is pretty likely because they are so much faster than you, that you're now just going to lose the prolonged dogfight. This thing is not going to be winning versus many planes, as long as they don't make any mistakes, of course. If we have seen the F5TH video that I made last week, kind of in the same boat. It's a little bit more well-rounded than this thing, but it also has, of course, way less missiles. It means that your enemy needs to basically turn in front of you, and if they don't, there's a very big likelihood that you won't be able to kill them. Now, luckily, BVR to that extent doesn't really happen all too often, and because you have an abundance of missiles, you will be able to rope people into a close range fight and just completely litter them with missiles, and you probably will get a kill. The issue is that in the early stages of the match, it's kind of annoying to actually position yourself, and you need to play around this. You cannot spearhead the team. You will be collecting 2000 missiles in the first minute of the match. Now, the good thing is that you are incredibly evasive when it comes to notching. You have essentially infinite countermeasures, as you can see on the left side of the screen. We have 700 total. On top of that, the plane is relatively slow and pulls quite well, meaning that it's incredibly easy to stay in a notch window even if you didn't have infinite countermeasures. And this means that you can actually kind of spearhead the team, but you need to fly it as a decoy. You do not want to spearhead the team as an offensive tactic, because it's just super risky. You have to push way too close, and when you're already dodging missiles and you then want to shoot missiles back, they're gonna have even less range, meaning that most of your missiles will probably just kind of be dots and fall straight out of the sky. So there's two ways to really play this thing effectively. The first one is going to be flanking routes, and the second one is going to be hugging the terrain. And of course you can combine these two into one, which is what we will be doing right here. We use the canyon, we peek up over it, and there is an F-15 that's way too close to notch that instantly gets clapped out of the sky. We maintain this lower altitude, especially on high altitude maps. You will lose even more energy even quicker. Why is this? You pull more AOA at high speed because the air is less dense, meaning you compress less, meaning you pull harder, meaning you deflect more, you get more angle of attack, and your plane acts more like an air brake. So sitting at these high altitude maps, your retention is going to be noticeably worse, and you really have to play around it. So we try to just hug the terrain, we try to multi-pad as much as we can, and this way we can get closer to them relatively safely. Now, we do want to be careful that we don't get jumped from two angles at the same time, because guess what, a 2v1 is not something you will be surviving very reliably when it comes to the AFA 18A. F-18s don't like this in general, top tiers don't like this in general, but this thing particularly struggles, as we are now going 700 kilometers an hour in approximately 1.372 seconds, brought to you by two leaf blower engines. It's a little bit of a pain in the dick, but when you have cover in forms of terrain, you can function against basically everything. So we get the Su-30 in the background, the other Su-30 gets killed by someone else, and there comes Su-30 number 3. And if you aren't aware, the Su-30 actually got a pretty major buff in the last patch, as now it actually has functional engines. So before, the F-18 and the Su-30, other than the top speed, played pretty similarly. You have an abundance of missiles, you have a pretty weak airframe with very little acceleration. That's no longer the case. The Su-30 is an absolute menace right now, and I probably should cover that thing again very soon. I'm not entirely sure if I should call it the best top tier in the game, but I think as the all-around package, it's definitely a contender. The R77-1s were already incredibly potent when they were on the worst airframe. Now, as I talked about with this thing, weak engines are a compounding effect to your missile. Those engines are actually pretty damn solid now, and we really need to be careful when we run into Su-30s, because they don't handle like a fat wheel anymore. It's still a big plane, it still loses a lot of energy at lower speeds especially, but it's pretty easy to keep fast now. And those missiles, when you have 12 of them, are pretty damn nasty. Now it's of course no Eurofighter Typhoon, but the Eurofighter also has half the missiles when it comes to Ravioli. I personally probably prefer it, but I don't think it's actually objective and is more of a subjective thing. With the Ravioli, of course, you can basically shoot these missiles off at 2 kilometers from a 90-degree angle, and you'll probably just shoot them out of the air. Offensively and defensively, this thing is an absolute pain in the ass to kill, but I think that the Su-30 just has that early game match presence where you will be able to just dome 3 or 4 guys without actually wasting a big percentage of your total missiles. Now I have to actually play it again, try it again, and really get my verdict in. But the balance at top tier right now is actually pretty decent when you only look at the top 5 vehicles. Other than that, the game mode doesn't really work. Here comes the AFA 18A. We are gonna be notching and flaring and dodging 2000 missiles in the middle of the match. And this is what I meant with you can go straight in as a decoy, you just kind of turn on your ball pods and you just keep notching, you just keep flaring, and no one is really going to be touching you because the plane is so slow. It's incredibly easy to keep in the notch window, and this way we just fool the entire enemy team's missiles as my teammates in the background just shoot everyone for free. Now of course, if you get multiple angles at the same time, it becomes a little bit more sus, but when you're going that slow, it's actually pretty simple to just keep doing little turns and notch all of them at the same time regardless. Now you do want to be careful that they don't start flying straight at you as you're going 4 kilometers an hour, because they will just be able to gun you down. I know guns are actually not a construct of the past, they still function, and people should really respect them more, because very often you'll see people just pull straight into your guns thinking he's not going to be able to shoot a missile off here. You're right, but I still have a Vulcan with 600 rounds. And I get it. Very often you don't use your gun. You never really get close enough and no one is actually able to aim anymore. So very often you'll just get away with pulling straight in front of someone because they have no idea how to shoot guns anymore. A lot of top tier players have bought their way into tier 8 with a premium, a tier 7 with a premium, and while I don't think this is a great idea, I don't think there's anything wrong with it either, but you have to keep in mind that you will learn the game in a very different manner. If you start with props or low tier jets, you will learn how to play a plane. While when you play high tier, even though these planes fly very differently and they're really not that comparable whatsoever, they're still transferable skills. Here you're learning to fly a missile system. And now, when you're out of missiles, or when you get jumped, when you get someone on your 6, or maybe you just merged with someone that you have to dogfight because your missiles are not able to be lined up properly, you need to fly the plane. And in order to actually learn how to fly the plane, you need to, again, fly the plane. These scenarios don't happen all that often when it comes to top tier. So you're not going to be learning very often, and whenever you are, you probably are at a disadvantage, meaning that you already are likely going to die even if you do everything right. And now you are in this position where every time you do something, you lose. You don't know what you're doing wrong, because even when you're doing the right thing, you are going to be punished for it. You're never going to be learning how to fly the plane this way, and there are of course going to be exceptions. Maybe you just have a natural talent for this stuff, or maybe you're really good at picking up what to do from a video, for example. But at the end of the day, nothing beats experience. So actually having these scenarios pop up in different vehicles at a lower BR will help you out in the long run. And yes, in the regular game this probably won't affect you all that much, but it's a very great feeling to win a dogfight, to clutch out a game. And it's a lot easier when you know how to play a plane with missiles opposed to how to play a missile system that happens to fly. In the background you can tell that I'm trying different types of playstyles, and while they might all work in their own right, and you might see that every playstyle somewhat works, this is YouTube. Every time it goes wrong, you don't get to see it. YouTube is never a great metric to gauge how well something plays, other than of course using the context that you know that it's YouTube. These are the best case scenarios, and you know that some scenarios are just less likely than others. Like right here, we fly straight in, we're going 500 in the middle of the map, and we survive. We are able to turn around, shoot missiles at people and get our kills. But does this look like something that you want to try every game? Because believe it or not, going 700 in the middle of the map is not exactly sustainable. Here comes the Su-30, he gets shot down by a friendly. Guy in the background happens to J out after we slammed him with an AIM-120. And that's essentially all I have for you today. The plane is kind of mid. It's playable, but it definitely leaves a little bit to be desired. When it comes to the footage in the background, I want to thank Hazy for providing today's gameplay. His channel will be in the description. He's Australian and he wanted to wrap the plane, and I just have no time to play the game whatsoever right now. I'm working way too many hours. I'm trying to move into our new house. I'm trying to get everything done with the mortgage and the assurance and everything, and it's taking a massive chunk out of my time, as well as the fact that I'm home for like 6 hours a week right now. It kind of caught me off guard. I didn't have much of a buffer, but we should be able to fix this for the next few videos. I just needed to bridge the gap for this week's video, and then we will continue like we usually do. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you Hazy for the gameplay, and I'll see you all in the next one.